I'm Shivam Patel, your host for this week's edition of Seven Lakes Undercover. And now, we are going to investigate yet another charity that claims to impact the world in a new and innovative way. It's called the Hope Endowment. The Hope Endowment started in 2004 when nurse practitioner Molly Phillips, and coincidentally she met Dr. Niraj Patel, the soon-to-be co-founder of the Hope Endowment. So, we found this MD and asked him a couple of questions. Co-founder of Hope Endowment, Niraj Patel. We're here to figure out if it's actually hope or false hope. So, Mr. Patel, why did you decide to start the Hope Endowment?
Actually, before it was Hope Endowment, when I was a kid, around 8 or 9 years old, when I was in India at the time, I saw a lot of impoverished children. And so the goal was try to help these kids. And I made a promise to God that if I could, when I was older, make enough money to help people out in India, that I would make an effort to do so. So through my career, either be high school or medical school or college, I always try to donate some way to these kiddos in an effort to help these kids out in India. The dream just got bigger and bigger, and then when I got out into private practice, back in 2003 actually, I started giving money to a lady named Molly Phillips. And she started an organization in India, and where we built a building, and we brought in about 100 kids or so. And so during this time, as we brought in the children and finished the building off, it was really just a small little goal I had initially. And then a few of my friends found out about it, and we established a 501c3 called Hope Endowment. Right. And that started from 2008, and then over the next 4 to 5 years is when we actually started escalating the actual the group entity to now it's hundreds of people from New York to Chicago to Houston all the way to LA that help take care of these children and build an organization of what it is today.
All right. What is the purpose for this organization?
It's very simple. The whole point is to try to move resources and funds from America in order to help these individuals in India. The goal is to have a child who comes in the home, have a home to stay at, clothes, food, an education, and a living environment where they can thrive.
All right. How has the organization grown from the beginning?
Once again, it started off with myself meeting a lady named Molly Phillips. We were working on a few small projects in India, and from there it grew from 2008 where 2 of my friends went with me to India and saw the kids. And they were really excited about the project and what it could be. So once we became a tax-exempt organization is when we started to actually expand. And so we went from our first gala, which is in a small little restaurant with maybe 50 people, to our last event, which is 400 people at the Sugarland Marriott.
All right. What are your hopes for this organization in the future?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's so much poverty in the world, I'm never going to be able to help all those kiddos out. So if I can just muster the efforts of all of my friends and family here to help as many kids there as I can, that would be a huge success. But also the next generation. If you don't mind if I have a prop here. We actually have a thing called a Hope Jar. And the Hope Jar is what we give kids during the year. And as you can see, the symbol for hope is actually a little tree.
All right.
And we actually put $1 in there, and the joke behind it is it's actually seed money. So the kids will take this jar and they'll put their dimes and their quarters and their nickels, whatnot, into this little jar. Okay. And every Christmas we collect that money in order to send it to India to take care of these kiddos. And so one of my big dreams is to have as many children as possible be part of this, not only just so they support hope when they're older, but feel like philanthropy is something important in their lives, so that way they can help any number of causes that they find valuable when they're older.
All right. What does the success of these children you're helping mean to you?
Personally, it just means I was able to give something back. In my mind, any one of us could be these kids in India. Any one of these kids of us could be orphans. And so hopefully, the success is just if as many children as we can get off the street and give them a safe place to learn, to live, and to thrive, basically, that would be success. So every child is a success. There's not necessarily one endpoint to this. Whatever we can do, and I just go to bed at night knowing that there's some children out there that I was able to help by bringing monies from here to help those kiddos there in India.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Patel, for your time.
Well, thank you.
Well played, Hope. Well played. You seem to have passed our first test. Focusing on aiding the children of India who would otherwise end up in a life of poverty, crime, or maybe even death. Hope calls upon the world to aid them in their mission of nurturing children in India. When we asked Hope what legacy do they hope to leave behind, Hope quickly responded, "The legacy is not what we've already done, but what we hope to do in the future, because there are many more children in need and much more to be done." We're here at the Hope Endowment headquarters to talk to some volunteers.
Hello?
Are you Devin Patel, volunteer for the Hope Endowment?
Okay, it wasn't me, okay? It was last week. Me and my buddies were... Oh, volunteering. Yes, I volunteer for the Hope Endowment.
We just want to ask you a couple questions. So, Devin, why do you choose the Hope Endowment over other charities to volunteer at?
Well, I choose the Hope Endowment Shivum because, like, it's really close to my heart. Ever since I was little, I've been part of this, and I've seen how these children in India have such a tough life. That we've seen children who are on the street with no food. They've resorted to eating dirt. Most of them barely have any education, no health care, and it really touched my heart, and I was really sad to hear about that, and I said, I want to make a change. I want to impact these children for the better. So I decided to start volunteering for Hope Endowment. I volunteer at other charities too, but I really like helping orphans in India is not something that's really been a big thing, and I really kind of want to start that.
All right. What have you learned from volunteering at the Hope Endowment?
I've really learned to be appreciative of all the great blessings I have. I look at my life and I say I have 3 meals a day, a nice house. I go to a good school, and I see these children in India with barely anything, no parents, no food, no health care. It's really sad. So I said, and I also realized that with the great blessings I have, I should use them to help children who are underprivileged.
All right. Thanks for your time, Devin.
No problem.
It seems the Hope Endowment's tied up all their loose ends. And no wonder. Ever since their beginnings, they've expanded greatly. In 2005, they opened their first house in Kerala. It housed 60 children, and not only gave them food and shelter, it also gave them proper education and health care. Not long after, in 2006, they opened up 2 more locations in Gujarat, leasing property in Dumda, which holds the Tree of Hope, and Cochin, which was recognized as the center of excellence by the government of Kerala, and whose model was recommended for the future orphanages. In 2009, the first annual Afternoon of Hope, which focuses on teaching kids and donors the significance of giving, was held, and which will this year be held at the Blue Lounge and Restaurant. By 2010, Hope had expanded into California, and now it holds branches in Texas, California, and New York. 2011 was an eventful year as the hardworking team purchased land in Dumda for a permanent facility and held their first gala event, which this year raised over $126,000. Through its efforts, the Hope Endowment has raised about $750,000 in total, all of which amount to the organization fulfilling its bold promise that 100% of donations would go back to the children in India to support the children in their orphanages. And the organization's relentless efforts paid off when in 2012 they had their first high school student, Anish, graduate. Since then, they've only had a total of 3 students graduate, but they expect many more, as co-founder Dr. Niraj Patel informed us that this small number is due to the fact they've only been around a couple of years and most of the children they take in are 4 to 7 years of age. One can conclude that many more are still to come as the Hope Endowment's hunger for the betterment of the world. 7 Lakes Undercover team has worked so hard to try to uncover dirt on what seems to be called the Hope Endowment. But the authority has its heart in the right place, and the volunteers seem to be happy to giving their time there. So they've earned our seal of approval. Cheers. Through their never-ending goal of nurturing, nourishing, sheltering, educating, and caring for their orphan children in India, the Hope Endowment has struck a nerve with their unique approach with their charity that won't be going away anytime soon. Even the smallest of donations make a difference, and the Hope Endowment makes note of that with their Hope Jars, which are easy and can change the life of another. Continuing to run on the goodness of people's hearts, they hope that you join the cause to give the impoverished in India another chance that it was gotten on its feet, but it sure as heck is just getting started.